So I'm going to tell a story, and this is a good one for just around lunchtime, because sometimes after lunch it's nice just to close your eyes and take a little nap. And so this story is more like a bedtime story. It's actually from Tuck Me in Tales by Margaret Reed MacDonald, and you can look it up in that book. There was a mother bird who made a nest by the Kanji River. She planted 5 eggs. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 eggs. She settled herself on her eggs and kept them warm every day, just waiting as a mother bird does for her eggs to hatch. Every now and then, she would rise from her nest and stretch her wings, and she would sing this song. I laid 5 eggs long ago by the Kanji River, oh, Kanji Jo, Betty Jo, Kanji Jo, Betty Jo. She did this until the eggs were just about to hatch, but one time when she had left her nest just for a moment, a hunter caught her in a bag and took her away. She escaped, but not until the hunter had taken her some distance away from the nest. Luckily for the chicks, the sun shone bright and warm on their nest until the eggs started to crack. The first egg went crick, crick, crack, and pop, out came a little chick. Then the second egg went crick, 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 crack, out popped the second chick. And then the third, crick, crick, crack. The fourth, crick, 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 crack. And the fifth, crick, 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 crackle, crackle, crack. All 5 chicks hatched, which was amazing. And they looked around them, and they cried out, Mama, Mama, Mama. But there was no Mama. Wow, our Mama is missing. We have to go find our Mama. And so on little wobbly newborn legs, they went down the road. First, they came to Mrs. Groundfowl. Mrs. Groundfowl, big brown bird, standing in the road. And they looked at her and thought, well, she looks like a mama. Maybe she's our mama. And they ran up to her, crying, Mama, Mama, Mama. Oh, she looked at the birds, the little chicks, and she said, I didn't know I had 5 chicks, but they're calling me Mama, so I'd better take care of them. So she took them into her nest, she gave them their dinner, and put them to bed. The next morning, the little chicks looked at her. She was a lot bigger and rounder than they were, and she was completely brown, and they were blue. So they asked her, they said, you know, our Mama sang a song to us while we were in the egg. Would you sing your song to us so we would know that you're our Mama? And so Mrs. Groundfowl puffed up her chest and she called out, Coco, yeah, Coco, yeah, Coco, yeah. Well, the little chicks looked at her and said, well, that's not our Mama's song. We don't think you're our Mama. And she said, well, okay, you'd better keep looking for your Mama. And so down the road they went on stronger legs until they came to Mrs. Dove. Well, here was another bird who looked like a mama, and they ran up to her again, crying, Mama, Mama, Mama. Mrs. Dove said, oh my, 5 chicks. I didn't know I had 5 chicks. But they are calling me Mama, so I'd better take care of them. And she took them in, put them in her nest, gave them their dinner, and put them to bed. The next morning they looked at her. She had that long dove neck and that pretty dove shape. And she was all gray, and again, they were blue. So they asked her the same question, would you sing your song for us so we can tell if you're our Mama or not? So Mrs. Dove stretched out her long, lovely neck, and she called out, Coo-roo, coo-roo, coo-roo. Well, said the chicks, that's a lovely song, but that's not our mama's song, so we guess you're not our mama. Well, Mrs. Dove said, that's all right. You keep looking for your mama. And they marched on down the road, 5 little chicks looking for their mama, and they came across Mrs. Sunbird. Mrs. Sunbird buzzed merrily above them. She was a tiny little bird, but she could be a mama, so they ran up to her, crying out, "Mama, Mama, Mama!" She looked at them and said, "Oh my, 5 chicks, and they're so big, but they're calling me Mama, so I'd better take care of them." She took the 5 chicks and she somehow managed to squeeze all 5 chicks into her tiny little nest. She gave them their dinner. She put them to bed. Next morning, they looked at Mrs. Sunbird. She was very pretty, but she was so tiny. The little birds asked her, too, would she sing her song for them so they would know if she was their mama. Oh, Mrs. Sunbird buzzed above them and sang out, "Quangri, quangri, quangri." Well, that's a very interesting song, said the chicks, but it's not our mama's song, and we guess we have to keep looking for her, and off they went. Meanwhile, the mama bird had made it back to her nest. She saw all 5 of her eggs had hatched, and that was good, but the chicks were nowhere to be seen. So she headed off down the road. First, she ran into Mrs. Bushfowl. "Oh, Mrs. Bushfowl, Mrs. Bushfowl, have you seen my chicks?" "Were there 5 of them?" "Why, yes, there were 5 of them." "Did they sing a beautiful song?" "Yes, they would have sang a most beautiful song." "Well, I kept them for a night, but they still were looking for you, so they've gone down the road." "Oh, my." And the mama bird went down the road. She found Mrs. Dove and Mrs. Sunbird gossiping together about these strange 5 chicks. And she said, "Mrs. Dove, Mrs. Sunbird, have you seen my chicks?" Mrs. Sunbird said, "Were there 5 of them?" "Yes," Mrs. Dove said. "Did they sing a beautiful song?" "Yes, yes, they would have." "Well, you just missed them. They just left Mrs. Sunbird's nest and they're headed down the road." Well, the mama bird ran after them, desperately calling out, "Chick, chick, 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 chick." And the chicks heard her. They turned around, they ran back down the road, and they all came together in a group. The mama bird spread her wings around them. They looked up at her and said, "Would you sing your song for us?" The mama bird said, "Tomorrow we will sing. Tomorrow we will dance. Tomorrow I will show you how to fly." And so the mama bird made another nest right by the Kanji River. She put the chicks in, gave them their dinner, and put them to bed. She stayed all night with her wings over them. In the morning, as the sun started to warm the nest, she opened her wings and she started to sing. "I laid 5 eggs long ago by the Kanji River, oh, Kanji Jo, Gabeti Jo." The chicks woke up, they looked at her in joy and sang out, "Kanji Jo, Gabeti Jo, Kanji Jo, Gabeti Jo." The mothers and the chicks danced all day, they sang all day, and as the sun came into the western sky, the mother bird spread her wings and she showed them how to fly. "Kanji Jo." The chicks imitated her, spread their wings, and flew. "Kanji Jo, Kanji Jo, Kanji Jo, Kanji Jo, Kanji Jo. And off that little family flew, together again, and all was well.